Good evening, Larson Heights, and welcome to Bedtime Stories with Mrs. Schatzko. Tonight, I think I'm going to fill in my March reading challenge with read a book with a great cover. So tonight, our book is going to be called Storm Boy. And I think that this is a super cool cover. It's beautiful. The artwork in this book is amazing, so I am going to fill in read a book with a great cover. Let's get going. Storm Boy by Paul Owen Lewis. A chief's son went fishing alone. And a terrible storm arose. He soon found himself washed ashore under a strange sky he had never seen before. There was a village there. The houses, the canoes, and even the people were very large. Does anyone know where this artwork is based on? Think about that for just 1 second, and we'll talk about it at the end. I'm going to tell you a little story after the story is over. I am a chief's son and I am lost. A storm has brought me to you, said the boy. We know this. You are welcome, son of a chief from above, said one who appeared like a chief himself. And together they entered the largest house of all. Can you see how big everyone else is compared to the chief's son? Inside, the house was crowded with finely dressed people enjoying a feast. They gave him a blanket to wear and a fish to eat, but the fish was not cut up or cooked. Strange too, on the walls all around were what looked like killer whales. After they finished eating, the chief said to the others, "Let us sing a welcome song and invite our guests to join in the dance of our people." You are welcome, son of a chief from above," they sang. The boy and his hosts began to dance around the fire together to the steady beat of the drums. He matched them step for step, and the chief smiled when he saw that the boy had so quickly learned their dance. In return, the boy offered to teach the songs and dances of his own people. The chief was delighted and now followed the boy's lead. The celebration went on in this way for many long hours, the boy and his new friends each learning from each other. But though the boy was enjoying himself, he began to think more and more of home with each song he sang. He missed his father and mother and wondered if he would ever find his way back to them again. Suddenly, the drumming and dancing stopped. The chief turned to him and said, "We are glad that the storm has brought you to our village, but now you are thinking of your own." When you wish to return, he continued, grip my staff tightly and stand behind me. Close your eyes and think of your own home, wishing to be there only. The boy did as he was told. He took the staff and stepped behind the chief. Closing his eyes, he pictured his father and mother, his house, and the people of his village. As he did, the boy felt a great surge beneath him, as if he were being carried upward at greater and greater speed. He kept his eyes closed and held on tight. The motion stopped, and the boy opened his eyes. There he was, lying on the beach in front of his very own village. "My son," cried his mother, "where have you been? We thought you were lost in a storm a year ago." "I was lost in a storm, but it was only yesterday," exclaimed the boy. But a year's time had indeed passed since he disappeared in the storm. That night the whole village celebrated his return and marveled at the boy as he danced with the staff and told of the large and mysterious people under the strange sky. So this is the end of the story, but if you would like to stay with me, I'm going to read to you about what this book is about and what the author has to say and some interesting thoughts about our state and Native Americans and their art here in Washington. So the author's note says, common to all the world's mythology is the adventure of the hero, whose pattern of experience renowned scholar Joseph Campbell described in 3 rites of passage: separation, initiation, and return. A hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man. In no place is this universal theme more powerfully represented than in the rich oral traditions and bold graphic art of, and please forgive me if I mispronounce these, the Haida, Tlingit, and other native peoples of the northwest coast of North America. This cosmology held that animals possess spirits or souls identical to human beings and were therefore referred to as people. There were wolf people, eagle people, and killer whale people, just as there were human people. Animals had their own territories, villages, houses, canoes, and chiefs, and many were capable of changing into human form at will, blurring the distinction between animals and humans even more. In their own houses, they used human form, and when they wished to appear in their animal form, they put on cloaks and masks and spoke their animal language. The myths frequently tell of heroes being escorted by spirit beings through cosmic doorways beyond which lie villages of people who at some stage betray the fact that they are really bear people or salmon people. Storm Boy is such an adventure, reflecting Campbell's 3 rites of passage with event motifs unique to Northwest coastal lore. In an effort to present a degree of authenticity in the telling, a picture book format has been deliberately chosen in which the text or verbal content is spare and the bulk of the culturally significant detail is communicated by the art. Therefore, for those readers interested in or unfamiliar with Northwest Coast culture and art, I offer the following outline and elaboration. So I don't know if you remember this, but last fall when we went to the Wallenstein Theater, this was exactly what they talked about. Do you remember that? It was pretty cool. So, Northwest Coast motifs of separation. Wandering too far from the village invites supernatural encounters. The boy is out of sight of his village and in bad weather. His identity is indicated by the style of the canoe, which is Haida by the text, a chief's son, and by his clothing. His woven cedar bark shirt is fur-lined, a sign of wealth. Heroes were most often of high caste or rank. He is a Haida prince. Mysterious entrance to the spirit world. In the presence of killer whales, the boy is thrown from his canoe into the sea, passes through it, and enters into another realm below. Northwest Coast motifs of initiation. Animals encountered in human form. The grand scale of the village and the displays of killer whale crest art indicate killer whale people. The frontal pole carving indicates that it is the house of a supernatural killer whale chief. More than one dorsal fin, here there are two, indicates high rank, and the holes through the fins indicate that it is of supernatural realm. The people are dressed in ceremonial attire, hinting that a high occasion is imminent. The boy claims his high rank as a prince and is formally welcomed by the killer whale chief. Exchange of gifts and culture, potlatching. Inside the house, the boy notices natural killer whale forms. These are the cloaks that the killer whale people don to appear in the natural world. After receiving gifts of food and a blanket with a killer whale crest, the boy is taught the killer whale's dance, the most valuable of the gifts and one befitting his high status. One could even argue that these are signs of his adoption by the killer whales. Dancing around the rising sparks of the cedarwood fire, the chief punctuates this event by spreading white eagle down from the crown of sea lion whiskers atop his headdress, an extravagant gesture of welcome. The boy, in return, gives the killer whale people a gift of equal value, knowledge of his own culture through songs and dances, thus meeting the ceremonial requirement of the potlatch. The word potlatch derives from the Chinook word patshal, meaning to give away. Northwest Coast motif of return. An object given to assist return. As the celebration winds down, the boy remembers that he is yet, in spite of this high experience, lost and cannot see how to find his way back home. The chief intuits the boy's feeling, gives him his dancing staff, shaped like a dorsal fin, and instructs the boy to hold it tightly and to stand behind him. Mysterious return by wishing continually. The boy takes his position behind the chief. He is further instructed to close his eyes and visualize his home, his parents, and his own village, and is warned to think of nothing else. The boy is obedient, and a great mystery is played out. The viewer sees what the boy cannot. The killer whale chief and his people have transformed and are ferrying the boy to the upper realm. Time is out of joint. Most fascinating is the element of time disparity between the two realms in classic Northwest Coast hero epics. For every day spent in the spirit world, a year passes in our own. When the motion stops, the boy finds himself in front of his own village and learns from his mother that he has been missing for an entire year. His mother's fur-lined garment, mini bracelets, and abalone lip plug mark her as a woman of high rank, the wife of a chief, claiming of a crest. A reunion celebration occurs at which the boy recounts his mysterious adventure and displays the killer whale staff and dance. Because of his adoption by the killer whale people, the boy could now rightfully claim the killer whale crest as his own to display and to pass down to his descendants. In addition, the boy would very likely exhibit greatly increased skill as a fisherman, possessing the killer whale's prowess at hunting. This, in turn, would bring further fame, honors, and wealth. As the generations passed, his name and story would take its place among his people's greatest legends. Though an original creation, Storm Boy was carefully composed entirely of native story elements, both in its narrative and art. Special thanks belong to Bill Holm and Jay Havoc for generously sharing their knowledge and encouragement, to Chris Landon, Native Cultural Advisor, and to the peoples and cultures of the Northwest Coast that inspired it. If you are interested, there is a teacher's guide for Storm Boy available from Beyond Words Publishing. So now you may want to go back and listen to it from the beginning and look at the pictures more carefully and see if you can see all of those things that it just spoke about. Have a wonderful night, Larson Heights, and go Eagles!